Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jerred Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jerred Moon here with everyone. What's up, everyone?
Hello, everyone. Or everyone says hello.
Yes, they are. We've had a good start to the day here. And now we're doing a podcast. I think Kyle's a little shell-shocked right now. So we're going to start with Kyle after the shout-outs. But shout out to Justin Moss. And this is our last shout-out. This is the last one I really had on the list. Other ones have passed. We may do it again. We may not. Either way. If you've been shouted, outed, welcome to that small fraternity brotherhood. Anyway, Justin Moss doing an 8-day backcountry elk hunt in Colorado. It's not until September. He said lots of miles with hopefully a really heavy pack coming back. Yeah, it would be heavy on the way back. So that's awesome, Justin. That's intense. I've always wondered, like, you got to carry that elk out of there. That's got to be that's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, the only other announcement type things, we have two things going on right now. Murph, you can see if you go to garagegymathlete.com, you'll see a yellow banner at the top, or you can go to garagegymathlete.com/Murph and be a part of our Murph fundraiser. And a lot of people already have. I just pulled the numbers yesterday. So that was May 3rd. And we were at just over $13,000 raised. I think 13,500, something like that. And I'll have all the exact numbers when we finish, but that's quite a bit. So if you're a part of the community and you're part of that, that's awesome. All that going to charity, most of it already there. A lot of people have done direct donations, which means it goes straight. We don't even touch it. So they don't have to wait to get the money. It just goes straight to the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. So that's awesome. And we're doing it all month. And so even if you weren't able to start on the Murph Burner program track that we have, still get in because we're still going to donate that money. And it is a program that you can keep forever. So just watch Sandlot with my boys.
Oh.
And then the last thing, Garage Gym Athlete Tours still going on. So if you go to garagegymathlete.com/tour, you can submit your tour. Joe, how many do we have so far?
Like 25, like a C note.
Awesome. And we're looking for way more than that, even though that's quite a bit. So go to garagegymathlete.com/tour, submit them, and get a free banner, shirt, whatever it is you want from our merchandise store. But that's all I got. Kyle, how's life?
Life is good. I will say that our workout for this week would be perfect training for an 8-day backcountry elk hunt. So stay tuned for that. Then I'll say this weekend, my family and I went on a camping trip with some people from our church. It's the first time the kids have ever gone camping, and they did surprisingly well.
Nice.
And
Except I heard your daughter was super chatty.
yeah. Well, she has this habit of not sleeping with a blanket, which is fine when we're inside the house. But when you're outside in a tent, you kind of need to stay inside a sleeping bag to stay warm. So she woke up cold around 4 a.m. both days we were there. And once she was awake, there was no going back. There was no going back to sleep. So pretty sure the whole camp woke up because she was just jabbering away. Anyway, it was a fun time though. I bought some new gear and stuff, and bought a new tent. Got kind of excited about it, so wanted to make sure they enjoyed it, and they did. So hopefully more camping in the Shrum family's future.
Besides a 4 a.m. wake up, how was your sleep?
My sleep was good. I'm used to just sleeping straight on the ground, but I got one of those self-inflating sleeping
at home?
pads. Like, yes, I just mean like camping. No, I sleep on the ground at home too most nights. I got one of those self-inflating sleeping pads, and it was excellent. I definitely recommend that. I'm not gonna get an air mattress because those things deflate overnight, but that sleeping pad was great. So my sleep was good. Anyway, Ashley, you're next.
So my update is just more on nutrition journey. And for me, it's more, this time it's been a mindset change. Instead of being restrictive and like eliminating a bunch of stuff, I found that I'm very goal oriented. I think most of us probably are here on the team, but so we basically made my nutrition plan more goal focused. So I have like a protein goal, a calorie goal, a servings of vegetable goal every day, and it has made the biggest difference. It's made me want to do this and actually be excited about doing it as well. So it's going well, week 2, and I feel great. Again, I think it's a combination of that and the meds are working, which is wonderful. But yeah, just changing my approach, changing the mindset, and knowing what I needed when I approached my nutritionist, which was really cool. And then my other update kind of segues into Joe's update, but humidity is back here in Florida, and my workouts have suffered slightly, and not suffered, but like it's harder already. Last week I felt great. It was wonderful. I mean, it was nice and cool still. And then there's a big thunderstorm that's coming this way. I'm going to hit the panhandle for the next couple of days, and it is so nasty outside. And I am dying. Like my shins are sweating, kind of dying. So yeah, that's my update.
Shin sweat.
Shin sweat. Remember, I sweat like a man. All right, Joe, your turn.
Yeah, it's very hot here. My runs are, it's in the 90s, and humidity is still like 50s to 60s, close to 70 sometimes, and that'll still increase as well. I posted a picture to you guys just to show you the visual. But so consistently over winter and like for the last 5 months, I was doing like 4-mile zone 2 runs every Thursday or something like that, and pretty consistent. My pacing was under 9 minutes, under 9-minute miles for the 4 minutes. So 8:50s or so. And this is a MAF zone 2. And so after we came back from Tanzania last week was my first time doing the 4 miles again. And it dropped to, or increased, whatever you want to do it, an entire minute more per mile pace on that same run that I was doing for so long. And at first I thought it was okay. I got my first dose of the vaccine. I haven't ran in like 3 weeks and I'm just not used to it. Well, I did the 50 minutes of zone 2 for Murph Burner Track today. And it was also like 10-minute mile pace for 5 miles exactly. And I was like, holy crap. So yeah, the heat is kicked up. Only like my first mile I can do sub 9 minutes or so, maybe like partially the second, but then after that it escalates quickly. But it's okay. I mean, it's crazy hot, and I'm actually avoiding running on the side of the street with shadows, like in the shade, because I know it's just going to get hotter. Not that that's going to help much, but yeah, it's not quite unbearable yet. So I'm still okay going and working out that, because I still have to work out outside in the most part anyway. But that also segues into Murph Burner. Doing that this week. I have done the first 3, 4. I don't even know what day it is. 3 days? Let's say 3 days. Yeah. Done the first 3 days or so. And yeah, it's good. Gives me a chance to use my sandbag. And I know this is a question a lot of people about when you wear a vest. And I'm just wearing a vest whenever there's weighted stuff and whenever I just feel like I can improve with the vest. Also, so that I can get used to breathing with a vest, because that is a terrible part. Just breathing with the vest is not fun. I really want to get those curved plates, but that's not in the docket. Yeah, I mean, it's fine, but I just don't know about how shipping would be out here, and probably take 3 or 4 weeks just to get out here anyway. So
I think they ship to APO for free. I could be wrong. If it's Rogue,
yeah,
again.
yeah, because that's our our sandbag we shipped through Rogue APO or whatever. I just don't know what shipping was.
Mm.
But that is what's up with me. So, Jerred, back and
You know
clean up.
what vest do you have? Do you have the Condor Sentry?
Yep.
Or so if you tighten it down really tight and you switch between breathing from your chest or breathing from your diaphragm, it allows you to breathe better. So like if you breathe, open up your chest, then you can, and hold that, you're able to get more of a belly breath. And then if you push your belly out, you're able to get more of a chest breath. I'm not kidding around either. This is something I learned doing a lot of Murphs with Condor Sentry, and could not breathe, literally could not breathe. We're talking zone 5, middle of Murph. I had to figure out how to breathe, and that helped. So it might be confusing, but just put
Yeah.
a vest on and practice it a few times, and you'll realize, oh, I can get a little bit more oxygen if I do it this way.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do vested TV watching.
Yeah, just practice some breathing with a vest on, and you'll nail it. But yeah, no, it's same in Texas. I mean, not as hot as where you're at, but no PRs in the summertime. That's not when it happens. No PRs on anything conditioning wise, at least. And that's what's coming. I think my only update, I was going to update people on the office progress in the backyard, because last I mentioned it, I think we were dried in, and we're still dried in. So that's it. No, they've run plumbing there, so we have an active water line, and they installed the bathtub, which I didn't know that they did. Like nothing else is done inside, but they're like, bathtub's working. So I don't know. I'm not a construction guy. I don't know why they're doing it that way. Electrical is good, and they've poly sealed everything, which means they're about to do insulation. So a lot of and the air conditioning ductwork is all done as well. So a lot of the bigger interior things are done, and that means according to my calculations, I have exactly no clue how much time is left until we're done. So but that's where we're at. If you are familiar with the construction process, you know how close I am, better than I do.
What are y'all going to do with that front room if you're going to transition over?
Front room transition.
Like where you're at right now.
Bedroom.
Where you're
It's one of the
sitting
boys'
right now.
bedrooms.
Oh, this is a giant room that I'm in that is multi-purpose at the moment, and it will just be a room for the kids.
Oh,
basically.
It'll have one less multi-purpose.
Yeah, I don't like multi-purpose rooms. I like rooms with a singular purpose. Especially when one of the, I think purposes plural is perpi. I think one of the perpi is me working. Oh, this is something I think I need to explain before we get into the study. I have the absolute driest sense of humor on the planet, and I'll never explain when I'm kidding, ever. I'll never, ever be like, that was a joke. I just watch your face and let you eat it. You either think I'm an idiot or you can't believe I said it.
Oh, no, yeah.
That's how my sense of humor works. I'm doing this for the listeners, not for you guys.
Yeah.
You guys get it by now. I think it took Kyle a good year and a half, though, before he was like, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. But I will just literally
Can confirm.
hold the joke until you don't even know anymore. Like, is he serious? I don't know if he's serious. So anyway, for the listeners, if you see that happen on the podcast, I'm either incredibly stupid at times or just holding out with a really dry sense of humor. It could be either. I'll let you venture a guess. All right, let's get into the study. Effects of 2 months of very low carbohydrate ketogenic diet on body composition, muscle strength, muscle area, and blood parameters in competitive natural bodybuilders. This was done in 2021. I'm not going to jump into too many of the details because I did peek into everyone's notes, and I think everyone had awesome notes, so I don't want to get too far into stealing thunder from anybody. I'm just going to go over the basics of what this study was. Ketogenic diet. They had 19 people go through it, and they were either on a ketogenic diet or a quote unquote Western diet. And then they followed I think a non-standardized bodybuilding training program for 2 months, if I'm correct. And that's all I really want to say. And then I want to hear what everyone else has to say. We're really just looking at hypertrophy and ketogenic diets, and whether or not, like, if you have the goal of building muscle, getting bigger, leaner, something like that, is ketogenic a good route for you is the question we want to answer. So what do you guys think?
I think it was crazy how they had a 5% carbs and a 55% carbs. Like that is a huge disparity. And I don't think anybody in our programming is doing either of those things. But I guess to get both extremes shows you which direction you would go in only an 8-week study. I guess that was decent, but it would have been cool to see a middle ground, which is basically where most of us live in like the 25 to 35% range. But it was cool how much they took from like blood levels and like cholesterol and whatever the brain one was, and another amino acid that I don't understand. Yeah, I'm doing real good right now. But it was it was just cool to see how they tested all on how it all. It wasn't just like strength, which I'll let you guys talk more about. It wasn't just who got stronger, who got more mass, who got lost the most fat, but they saw like, okay, this one keto improved the cholesterol, and it did decrease the testosterone a little bit, which I'm not sure if that was significant or what exactly that might entail. But it also improved on whatever the brain marker was to and there was an amino acid also that I wasn't sure what that one was, but it improved that. So that was really cool to see more in depth than just, oh hey, this one they got stronger and this one just got a little bit more stronger or something like that. And this is also with the strength gains compared to fat mass and lean mass is kind of what we're talking about with how we say our shred track can do both, and that carbs is kind of the governor of to which direction you want to go with how shred track is, because these were bodybuilders doing hypertrophy training, and shred is probably going to have the most hypertrophy out of all of our tracks. But it's either going to be better for body composition if you're going low carb, or better for hypertrophy and gaining mass by going high carb. So I think this was a kind of a cool way to see what kind of articulate better, or a study that shows what we mean as well with how you can go with the shred track for us specifically. And what else do I have? They took all the metrics fasted, also a good thing. I'm gonna pass it on over to Ashley next.
I just want to jump in with the test that they did, since you're a little vague on the blood stuff. So it's standard blood biochemistry, just everything that you would typically test in a blood panel, which is things like cholesterol, like white blood cells, like all those kind of things. They looked at testosterone, insulin growth like factor 1, brain derived neurotrophic factor BDNF, and inflammatory cytokines. So those are the things that they measured.
Yeah. And fasted because, they didn't want food or, anything to be off. So, so for the keto, again, I'm going to just kind of hit on what Joe did a little bit, but keto for fat loss. And then I said the Western gain lean muscle mass. So again, it's kind of two different ways to obtain your goals. But you just have to know what your agenda is. So you can kind of go lower carb to, again, what Joe said, you can use shred track, right? If we're going to do that, use our track, go lower carb, lose that weight, and then kind of, after, I don't know, a cycle or maybe 6 weeks or whatever it is that you've hit what you needed to hit, you can then gain that lean muscle mass and do that. Since I know that's, we get a lot of people that want to do both. Strength gains were similar on both sides, and I expected it to be in just, coming into it cold before reading, I would expect the strength numbers to be higher for the Western diet. But I loved that they tested the bench and the squat. And I said it wasn't something dumb like in a leg extension or some sort of like machine weight thing. Like it was a free weight, something that we, something that we implement in our training. But I think the important thing for me that I found, I call it protein, aka protein. The amount of protein that they made them eat was 2.5 grams per kilogram of weight. That's a lot of protein. And we talk about, if you want to hit goals or in your diet, you need to make sure that you're getting the sufficient amount of protein to help that. Like, I think it played an important role when you're trying to cut or even gain lean muscle mass. Protein is huge. And then the one biomarker that I was going to just hit was the BDNF, was increased with keto. And a lot of that is beneficial for like memory and cognitive functions. So a lot of good things here when they cut out the carbs, the inflammation markers, so on and so forth. But I won't keep talking. I will let Kyle give us
So,
his.
so the thing about this study to understand going into it is these are bodybuilders, right? We don't have very many, if any, that I know of, bodybuilders in our community, but this study specifically focused on bodybuilders. And to be included in the study, they had to have at least 5 years worth of bodybuilding experience and also be competitive. They had to be competing in a bodybuilding federation and in a bodybuilding uh, I don't even know what to call it. Anyway, they had to be competitive bodybuilders who had at least 5 years of experience. And so these guys are, and when I say guys, I'm not excluding anybody. They were all males. Sorry, Ashley. They were all guys.
Okay, it's typical for most studies.
Yeah. But these guys are used to strict diets. And so to get the results that they got in this study, like these guys had to do what bodybuilders do, and that's like measure absolutely everything that went in their bodies. And so that's what I liked about the study is I know that you didn't have actually everybody that was included, that was approved to be included in the study, made it all the way through, because none of them like fudged the numbers or didn't do what they were supposed to do, because all of them were very strict and used to that kind of regimen anyway. And so that's what I liked about this was the people who were included in the study actually stuck to what they were supposed to do, and there wasn't a whole lot of discrepancy there, so you could actually see what really came from it. It seems that that the ketogenic diet was a good way, at least for them, was a good way to shred body fat and maintain strength, but it didn't seem so great for like building hypertrophy, the ketogenic diet specifically. And that's what they were focusing on was keto. What is keto good for hypertrophy, or is it not? That's basically kind of what they were looking for. And so keto was a good way to cut, and especially for bodybuilders who are cycling through their diet regimen anyway, where they're going through a bulk phase and then a cut phase before competition and things like that. It seemed like a keto diet was actually better for them than maybe the way that they have been doing it, in a way that was kind of safer and kind of helped them to stay healthy as well, instead of just dumping a bunch of weight and standing on a stage. So that was good to see. But my takeaway from this would be, and I think, and we've talked about this as well, just with keto in general, the keto diet is probably not something good to stick with long term. It's not something that you should go keto and you should stay there. It's probably going to be better to kind of cycle it on and off, unless you have some kind of limiting factors that prevent you from eating, a high or a normal level of carbs, and you just need to stay keto, low all the time. But I think a lot of people get mixed up that, that in a low carb diet versus a keto diet, like keto is very, very specific low carb. I mean, it's 5% or less of your total caloric intake for the day is keto. And so you can go low carb without actually being keto. And so I would say that, and we've said this before, that keto is probably not something to stick with constantly, but is a good tool to use to cycle on and off.
And this might even be a higher ketogenic carbohydrate diet than some keto people actually do, because they did 5% carbohydrate, right? But that dependent on how many calories you're eating, because a lot of times when you read ketogenic stuff, they're just like, it's like 10 grams or 5 or 15 grams of carbohydrate, no matter what, across the board for every single person, no matter your body fat. That's how you do ketogenic, and that's very incredibly low carb. So I do like that they had a more, if it was 5% of your carbohydrates and not like a set amount of carbs. The thing that I find really interesting about this study is it just shows again that keto is just not great. It's not great for a lot of things. And I wish that people would know when to use them and not get in these camps, because what happens is keto might be awesome for you and your goals. Say keto helped you lose a ton of weight and you become a huge advocate for keto. And so keto worked in your situation. It worked for that. Great. But let's not try and pretend that science is agreeing with you that keto is great for performance, it's great for bodybuilding, it's great for hypertrophy. And I see these arguments all the time from people, the gurus, right? The keto gurus, like, no, it'll be fine for performance, and it'll be fine for this. And there's this study that says that you can do it, but there's really not. Like to me, this is I'm kind of done even. I mean, we could talk more about keto on the podcast, but I'm done talking to people about it. Like, keto is what it is. It's a tool in the toolbox. I think it's great for um, probably weight loss, some health markers. It looks like from this study, it's great for those things. But if you're not in that situation and you're like, okay, now how do I use keto for performance? And when I mean performance, I mean, moving faster, doing a certain workload a faster amount of time, like Murph, like a lot of tests that we do, a 2,000-meter row, things like that. I'm talking about performance, increasing those things. Or if you're trying to build muscle, could you argue that the ketogenic diet might work for you in some case? Maybe, but it's not the ideal way. It's not the way where you're going to see the most results. And so I just think that people should know that. That's my biggest takeaway, is just kind of like, all right, keto, it works for a very small amount of things. It's health, and then it could possibly help endurance athletes who never get to high intensity zones. And they can operate off of almost purely fat, and that's fine, because the whole premise behind ketogenic diets working for high intensity stuff is gluconeogenesis, which is ridiculous. I mean, I think it's awesome that your body can turn protein into carbohydrate, but like, why are we trying to force our bodies to do something like that, to exercise at a higher intensity, when we could just eat an apple, like just eat an apple instead of forcing your body through these ridiculous biochemical processes. So that's it. I don't think it's great for a lot of things. I think so. The actual conclusion I had written, I took from the study. It says ketogenic diets may be used during bodybuilding preparation for health and leaning purposes, but with the caution that hypertrophic muscle response could be blunted. So not great for gaining muscle, decent for health and leaning purposes. And I agree. Just overall, that's kind of, if you want to do cool stuff, maybe not keto. If performance is a goal of yours, you're going to need some carbohydrates. Again, I don't fit into any particular diet camp. I just feel like Kyle, are you still keto? You were kind of
carnivore.
Well, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Are you carnivore?
Mm-mm.
No. So you're just fully off that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm low carb, but I'm not in the keto camp.
And so why did you come off of it? I'm just curious, putting you on the spot.
I mean, there are several reasons. My energy took a dip. I guess I didn't stick with carnivore for long enough to kind of like see the energy come back up.
I don't know if that's true though either.
I don't know.
That's just what they all say. I haven't seen the study on that though.
Yeah. Yeah. I got really bored with eating that way. And I kind of talked about this, a couple of podcasts ago. It was my update talking about carnivore. And, but yeah, there were some other reasons that I just decided not to go that way. Really, I was trying to eliminate some things and then kind of work things back in to try to narrow down what carbs I can eat and what carbs I can't. And so that was a big piece of it as well.
No, I think how you used it is perfect. Like how it probably should be used. It's like slamming the gas pedal, to get on the highway, but then you let go, and then you're like, okay, I'm here. Let's, it's kind of like a reset. So overall, I think it's use keto wisely, but finally, it's not that new or novel anymore, and we can just put it aside, and we can all say, hey, keto works great for X, Y, and Z, but it's not great for A, B, and C. And that's it. So let's move to the topic. Joe, what are we talking about?
So we are talking about our actual staple nutrition advice. So top 3
There we go.
Simple nutrition advice. If we were to just like kind of write it on a post-it note and hand it to somebody, our top 3 simple, and I really wanted to make it simple and not like these convoluted psychological kind of things to dive into. Although anything with nutrition,
you did not stipulate.
You did not
that.
specify that.
I didn't. Well, I said simple.
Well,
The word okay, but
simple,
still,
not easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's either way with nutrition, there's going to be a level of explanation and such. So we also voted without him agreeing that Kyle would go first. So Kyle, what are your top 3 simple or non-simple nutrition advice?
So I'll pull these back from my athlete days, back when I was
You're not
just an
anymore?
athlete. Yeah, well, just an athlete, not a coach as well. But there were some things that Jerred passed along to me, and just some other things that I learned about nutrition, with losing weight and just getting in shape in general. And the first one that came to mind when you presented this topic was stop saying cheat day. And I've highlighted this on the podcast before, but I just think this is one that kind of blows people's minds, because everybody knows what a cheat day is or a cheat meal is or whatever. And even like fitness professionals use it all the time. But stop saying cheat day, because you're not cheating on a cheat day. Cheating is something that's against the norm, maybe against the rules, but it gives you a positive advantage. When people get mad about cheaters, because cheaters win, like what they do to cheat puts them ahead of the competition, and it helps them win whatever it was they were competing at. And so, but in nutrition, a cheat day is typically something that's off the diet plan, right? It's something that you're not supposed to have. It's something sweet, or it's something just indulgent, something that you're not usually supposed to have. So it's your cheat day, right? Well, that non-nutritional food that you're having on your quote unquote cheat day is not giving you a positive advantage. And so it's not a cheat. Really, your cheat days are the days that you actually stick to the nutritional stuff and you stick to the plan to getting in shape. So those are your actual cheat days, because they're giving you, if you wanted to say cheat day, those would be your actual cheat days, because they're giving you the positive advantage over everybody else who's not eating that way and not making those decisions. So just kind of reversing your thinking on that, but not reversing it and then calling your nutritional days your cheat days. Just eliminate cheat day altogether, because this idea of cheating, it kind of brings about guilt and shame and things like that in your brain, and those things have no place in your brain anyway, and they definitely shouldn't have a place when it comes to your nutrition. I just don't think so. I think people should be happy and satisfied when they eat. I mean, that doesn't mean just go eat a bunch of Oreos or something like that because they make you happy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you should eat because it makes you feel better, and feeling better makes you happy, and things like that. You shouldn't be associating guilt and shame with the food that you eat. So Joe, now you see where this whole non-convoluted nonsense that you just threw in the podcast doesn't work. Like,
it's really simple. You just,
yeah,
just giving good explanation.
Yeah. Stop eating when you're satisfied. Like when you're eating a meal, stop eating when you're satiated. Like, don't keep eating beyond being full. So, don't just keep eating. That's something that I grew up with, is like, if you put it on your plate, you have to eat it, right? And so I was like, well, when I'm making my plate, I'm really hungry, so I fill my plate up, and then I get about halfway done with it and I'm full, but I have to eat it because I put it on my plate. So anyway, get rid of that and stop overeating. Just stop eating when you feel satisfied. Stop eating. Slowing down and not eating as fast will help you with this. It will help you feel satisfied more quickly, so that you can stop eating at the right time. And then my third one would be, it's okay to make slow changes. It's not something that everybody, when it comes to nutrition, not everybody can just quit cold turkey. See what I did there? Not everybody can just quit cold turkey when it comes to nutrition. It's okay to make slow changes. And you don't have to just throw everything out the window and make a bunch of drastic changes overnight. You can change one little thing over time and get used to that thing, and then move on to something else, and make slow changes when it comes to your nutrition. So those are my 3 things.
I want to go back to the one that you mentioned, stop eating when you're full, because this is something I picked up growing up as well. That was just like my mom to this day. If I eat at her house and don't finish the food on my plate, she's like offended, and
Yep.
We cannot throw that away. And
Same.
that's how my mom operates. And so it's really in me, but now I see I have good nutritional habits, but Emily has recently pointed out, for our kids, because I'd be the same way with my kids. I'm like, you got to eat all that. And then she's like, no, they don't. They're full. But to me, it's like you don't waste it, right? And but then we have adjusted the rule recently to where you can stop eating when you're full. You don't have to finish everything on your plate unless it's vegetables, because they were using our own rule against us, like little slippery snakes. But we closed that loophole, because they would be there, be like, oh, I'm full. Like, all the broccoli's still there. I'm like, you're not full. You want some ice cream?
Well,
They're like, yeah. I'm like, gotcha. You're not
So
full.
you just leave that plate on the counter. So 20 minutes later, oh, you're hungry? Cool. We still have your dinner.
Yeah, we've done that before. So anyway, I picked that one up, and that one's like deep in me, on the don't waste food. So that's a tough one to get over.
I'm going to pick Joe.
Oh, I was not expecting that. You never picked me. So first one, avoid fad diets like the aforementioned keto or anything else that's if you can explain your diet in one word because it's just a marketing word, then you probably shouldn't. I don't think any diet should be boiled down to just one word, because somebody made up that diet for maybe either them or a client or something. But everybody has a different nutrition needs profile, everything. So just doing one fad diet, and half the time it's a marketing thing anyway. You go to the store now and either you see either vegan or keto or whatever labels on everything, and you just don't follow anything that just has that. I mean, you can use it as a loose starting point, but fad diets, cleanses, things like that, it should be more individual.
I love that. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you how much I love it. If you can describe your diet in one word, you're wrong. Like, I love that. Because it should be a little bit more complex than that, right? Even if you're like, hey, I'm paleo, but, and then you have to explain a couple other things like that. Cool. You have your own philosophy. But if you're just like vegan, vegetarian, paleo, carnivore, keto, like, yeah, you probably are drinking a little bit too much of the Kool-Aid from somewhere.
Yeah, because
awesome.
Half the time people don't probably know how to explain the actual nuances of those. Next, learn to cook and food prep. This probably should be my number one because I just love it so much. And I guess because I learned to cook at a very early age, but it's going to make your life a whole lot better. And I think it's a life skill that everybody should have at least some point of. And you can make food prep really simple and easy. I mean, Jerred can do it by himself, and it's fine.
So easy, Jerred can do it.
Wow.
I will admit, I am like the worst cook on the planet. So I know how to cook like 3 things. If it's not in that category,
goes to Paleo Nick.
Yeah, it's getting it's getting farmed out.
Yeah, but I mean, you could do super simple stuff. The book Cook Once, Eat for a Week some of them are more complicated, but there's a lot of simple things that you can do from there. I can cook very well, but I'm still pretty lazy with it. And even on the weekends when we food prep, it's, I throw a giant tray of vegetables in the oven and I put 2 whole chickens in a tray and throw that in the oven and then pick the chickens clean. And that's my meat. Like it's like 10 minutes of work and then I'm done.
When are we going to have your segment of the Joe Cooking Show on our YouTube channel?
Ooh.
I don't know. I should do that.
New segment.
Yeah.
Gotta add that bone broth in there too.
Every time I make the bone broth, I'm like halfway through and I'm like, shit, I should have videoed this. Because it is such a process, but it's after you get through it once or twice, it's not that bad. And my bone broth is bombing. Let's just say that. So learn to cook, learn to food prep. It can be simple. And you can even get like those HelloFresh things to where they send you the food, they send you the portions, they tell you step-by-step instructions, and it is done. And then you can just take that framework and even reuse those cards to cook again. So definitely do that. And then learn to read food labels. This one is slightly not simple. And I almost went with don't eat anything with any kind of label, but which is the easiest way to it's the easiest way to do it.
Tough.
But if you learn to read the food label with like, less than 5 ingredients, nothing that you can't pronounce, no sugar, no vegetable oils, those are like the basic things to pay attention to, then you'll be a whole lot better off. You'll notice that you can only purchase like 15% of the stuff in the grocery store because they're going to have all kinds of other junk in it. So
Mhm.
that one will take a little bit more finagling, but you can just take and once you learn a concept, it's just you can just keep learning more, and then it's not that hard to get into making sure a label is fairly clean.
Bonus tip on that one: stick to the outside edge of the grocery store.
Yeah, that's kind of where I
That's
was going with my avoid all labels, and that's
yeah.
usually what it is. Just stick to the outside. But yeah. All right, Ashley.
So mine was protein. Hit a sufficient amount of protein goal. Make sure you're getting good quality sources of protein, but protein helps balance out your blood sugar and keeps you more full and satiated, and you don't want to reach for random snacks throughout the day. And I just said for good sources, like for supplements of protein, I echo exactly what Joe just said. Pick something that is, when you're reading the ingredients, you understand what you're reading. None of this craziness that you see from like Gold Standard Whey or something. I'm trying to think of other protein sources that are just not that great for you. Try to stick with stuff like my protein has 7 ingredients in it, and I know what all 7 ingredients are. And then leucine content, we've talked about that before too, with supplements. You can look that up on their website, or you can go the Jerred route and contact their customer service and ask them about it.
How much leucine do you have?
Give me all your leucine.
My second tip would be water. Again, to kind of balance everything out, but it also flushes a lot of stuff out. It's great for detoxification. It flushes those toxins out, helps keep you regular. And one of my things I've implemented since being a garage gym athlete, Kyle, is basically drinking water before I drink my coffee or anything else in the morning. Making sure that you get that in first, anywhere from 16 to 32 ounces, whatever it is that you can get in, make sure you start the day out with some water. And then my last tip is real food. The closer to its natural state, the better. I said any process that adds or removes components always makes it worse. So stay as close as possible to the original food. For example, instead of chips, eat potatoes. Fruit, sugary drinks. Why don't you just eat real fruit? And then, instead of cereal, eat oatmeal, stuff like that. You can make those small changes that Kyle is talking about, but do it with real holistic food. Those are my tips. Jerred, what are yours?
I do want to say on the protein front, so when I supplement with protein, it can't be whey because my body doesn't handle whey that well. So I've had to go on all these tangents of trying to find a good protein source with enough leucine. But
What
I
are you
will
currently
say,
taking now?
actually, I think it's just Orgain right now because they.
Mhm.
And what I wanted to say overall was a lot of these companies have upped their leucine game. I don't some of them intentionally, some of them probably not, but they're starting to mix together more seeds and peas and all this stuff. But one I saw was marketed, no, not a sponsor, right? Was the new On It plant protein? They I'm a little skeptical about it still, but they specifically added more leucine. They even talk about it on their sales page. They're like, it's a couple different plant proteins they mixed together. They added leucine, so it's well over 2 grams per serving of protein for leucine, which is huge. So that one looks very promising. I might give that a try, but if anybody else wants to check it out, but a lot of these companies are doing a really good job. Like they're just starting to have more athletic based proteins. I feel like vegan protein over the last like decade or so was more like a shot of 10 grams, like some random person doing vegan could just add to their diet. But now that more athletically minded people are getting into the vegan scene, and I'm not vegan by any stretch, but I have to take vegan proteins because everything else has whey in it. So anyway, that was another one to check out, and a lot of them are upping their leucine game. So
Way.
I too am off whey. Can't do
Yeah.
it.
Kyle, you off the way yet?
Nope.
Okay.
Yes, way.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll go over my 3 tips. Probably heard me say some of them on the podcast before, and they kind of do overlap in some regard to what everyone else has said here. But drop the all or nothing mentality is a big thing I have with nutrition and fitness. Is just this: once we're not perfect, we decide that we're going to scrap the whole thing and not pursue it anymore. And I was just thinking about this yesterday because I had a conversation with an athlete, and I just wonder what goes through people's heads. Like if you had for breakfast, like maybe just had a shake like I normally do, and you had there's like spinach and blueberries and like all these awesome things for you in it, and then for lunch you had vegetables and a healthy source of meat, but then dinner you like really screwed up and you had something awful, like I don't know, just some sort of fast food or something because you were coming home from work and that's what you ended up with. um do you really think that those first two meals are like negated from that? And I'm talking about more from like a health perspective. Like, do you think your body's like, no, okay, we're because of that, we refuse to use any of these micronutrients you gave us earlier in the day, and you will continue to be unhealthy? That's just not how any of these things work. And we get into these all or nothing mentalities. I think it's due to our competitive nature, like growing up, like you either win a game or you lose a game. There is no middle ground. And that's how things work in careers. That's how a lot of the world works. I get it, but when it comes to fitness, 15 minutes is better than 0 minutes. 50 minutes is better than 15 minutes. Yes, but 15 minutes is still something. And same with nutrition. If you do something that's good for you in the morning, but then something bad in the evening, it's not a habit you want to maintain, but something is always going to be better than nothing. And so keep going with that. Drop this all or nothing mentality in all things health and fitness, and you'll start to see progress, because going back to doing nothing is a great way to die an early death. My next was disconnect emotions and food. And that's the one that's like,
It's hard.
that is just crazy, right? Like that. But I have coached a lot of people on nutrition. I do not suffer from this at all. But I realized from coaching that this is wildly prevalent in almost every person I've ever worked with. And I don't know how I didn't get that. I think it's because I started in health and fitness at a very early age. I did suffer from some like body dysmorphia type psychological issues from bodybuilding, but with food, I've always just seen it as like I use this, as fuel. I use this to like, there's always an end goal with it. There was never like, oh, it's movie time, I gotta have this snack, or I'm sad, I gotta eat this thing. Or yeah, I never had those connections, but I see it. It's almost like you feel like you're removing a family member. And once I kind of realized that, and I gained some empathy with people that I've worked with, I realize it's not just like, hey, be different than you are. You can't, like, that's not a solution, right? Like people are, you're like taking something out of their life that's always been there for them as a comfort. It's almost like removing like when a parent dies or something, not quite as traumatic, but like that person's always been there. They've kind of been a big milestone of it, big part of your life. So I'm not saying that this is easy and that you just need to be different, but I'm saying that it needs to get done. So if you need to go seek therapy, work with a nutrition coach, whatever it is, just first, you got to really admit that there is some sort of psychological issue here keeping you from achieving your goals nutritionally. So try and disconnect as much of those emotions and food, and you may need professional help to do that. And I'm talking about real professional help, not even just, hey, go work with us. It might be a legitimate, licensed therapist in some cases, depending on how deep it is. And then kind of with Joe's, my last one with Joe's, like keto and everything, never become this, diehard, guru on any of these diets. Like, keep an open mind, I think, is the ultimate like one liner for my last one. I have ventured down that path a little bit. I did with paleo several years ago. It was more like, hey, this is the way, this is how it's done, everyone else is wrong. But then if you just like read another book that's outside of what and read some scientific studies here and there, you'll be like, okay, well, maybe there's not a perfect, maybe we just need to look at all of these things together and see what works, do some individual testing. So don't go down that road either, thinking there's only one answer nutritionally, because there's not. And it's really easy to be sold on that no matter where you go. If you're like, I'm going to jump in the keto camp, they have an answer for everything. Like, that's same with paleo, same with vegan. There will be an answer to every question you have. And you're like, that makes logical sense. But like, why does carnivore diet able to answer the same question with the opposite answer?
Right.
And that's where things get really confusing. So that's where it also becomes kind of like religion to people, where they're getting so offended it's absurd. Hence why I don't like talking about nutrition that much to people. But anyway, those are my 3. Drop the all or nothing mentality, disconnect your emotions from food, and keep an open mind.
I will say with what you're talking about with the diets, even paleo has changed their outlook on what should be accepted or not accepted within their diet parameters now too.
What they say, like rice is okay, or like what
and
they
potatoes, rice and potatoes they added.
Nice.
Yep. So, I mean,
Love rice.
that's changing it. So it's like clearly, I don't know, the open mind for that is huge. That's
That's
I have a
awesome.
last bonus one. My other ones were kind of like learn to do things to do. So my last one is going to that I just thought of, as Jerred said, talking about books, is what not to do. And that is, do not either watch or take any documentaries seriously at all, 100%.
Yeah.
As much as a nutrition book can have the author's bias in it, they have 300 so pages, and you're still going to be able to pick out some good information because there's going to be a lot of references and such in there. And documentaries, they've got 90 minutes or less to entertain you, but also basically fear monger you to believe what they want you to believe. So absolutely do not. I don't even watch the documentaries now. I just like look at the debunking articles afterwards.
I'll ask Emily. I'm like, hey, you want to watch this? She's like, nope.
it just makes me so angry. I can't do it.
Yeah. But the debunking articles are like so entertaining afterwards. And then all the talk that happens so just don't watch documentaries from those.
Well, watch them. Just don't take
'em too
them
serious.
as like just it's one little thing that you learned,
Right.
and
Yeah.
just know that there could be some misinformation in it or partial truth, or I see that in all of them. I see that in the paleo ones. I see that in the vegan ones. They're all kind of they cherry pick what they want to put in there to make it sound really good to you.
Their way is the only way. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Workout.
Workout time.
Kyle.
It is what the ruck.
Yep.
Am I doing it?
I think that she volunteered you.
That's what
Well,
it
he
sounds like.
he alluded to it in the beginning, so I thought he was doing it.
Okay, that's what that means.
I'm bringing
Cool.
it back full circle.
The workout is what the ruck, and it's very, very simple.
But
It's a
not
3
easy.
mile ruck. That's it. It's a 3 mile ruck. No, that's not it. The
Just
weights
like-
competitor for male and female are 55 and 35 pounds. For established are 35 and 25 pounds. For recruit are 25 and 15 pounds. But the real fun for some people, not for me, but the real fun for some people of this workout is there's a buy-in before you do your 3 mile ruck. And the buy-in is 60 pull-ups, kipping is allowed, 70 hand release push-ups, 80 squats, 90 sit-ups, and then 100 burpees, because everybody loves burpees. Those are the best, right? You cannot partition these. You have to do them in order. So you got to go 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. That's it. So you got your buy-in, then you got your 3 mile ruck at the weight described, and that is what the ruck.
What the ruck?
My tip is just freaking do it.
It's a good tip.
Well, I did want to say, because we're repeating a lot of these workouts, and I could cook up 100 new Meet Yourself Saturday workouts, but I don't like to lose the benchmarking side to Meet Yourself Saturday. Like if you're one of our athletes for a while, I like for you to, hey, I've done this one, I've done it again. Some you'll see 2 times in a year, sometimes you see 3 in a year. But I think I'm going to transition some of my tips, quote unquote tips on these workouts, if I've talked about it a lot, to a challenge. So just letting you know, that's what I'm going to do.
And he's going to leave it there.
You do you.
I'll end
it's
with
his
it. But
turn.
the 3 of you, if you guys want to join over the next couple of podcasts, it won't always be a challenge. It just sometimes it will be.
Okay. My tip is just freaking do it. The back half of this workout, I really enjoy, just because I like weighted carries. The front half of this workout, not so great, but that's the meet yourself part for me. The 3 mile ruck is not a meet yourself for me. I'll go do it any day, and I'll do it in the rain, do it in the snow, all good. But the front half of this workout, I don't like it. So that's the meet yourself part for me. But my tip is just do it. Ashley.
Are you picking because you know that I'm the opposite? The buy-in's my favorite part. It always has been. Move through it. I said don't linger. The burpees at the end suck. Just keep going, even if it's slower. I think that this is a great just workout by itself, the buy-in part. And again, you should, I think, move through the buy-in part like this is like quickly, and which then makes the end, I think, the more meet yourself in my version, because I'm already taxed from the buy-in, but then I have to now throw on a vest and then do this 3-mile ruck. And I just said, we've talked about like the fartlek runs, if you can do it that way, speed walk, however you need to get through it. But just keep through it. And I said, for me as EDM faux show, I need something to keep me moving. Joe.
I agree that I don't like the front part, Kyle. And I agree that I don't like the back part, Ashley.
He doesn't. Have you done it?
But no, technically not.
He doesn't like
so,
it in theory.
But I have also had issues in the past with rucking. I think I've gone on like 3 actual rucks, and 2 out of those 3 times I've come back like hurt. Yeah, one of the times it was like
you put a kettlebell in a backpack.
That was the first one. That was just bad.
That's
yeah.
weird.
But the next time, it was actually a couple weeks or a couple months ago. It was earlier this year. I think it was in February. We have some better backpacks and actual like waist strap, and we distributed the weight, and it was all fine. But for some reason, halfway through, my hip flexor was not okay. I was like having to walk almost like kind of crooked and bent over so that my hip flexor wasn't. I don't know what it was. I don't know what's up with my hips, but yeah, I just rucking.
Hips don't lie.
Yeah, they don't. And I think if I would do this one, I might carry a
I
sandbag.
would do this one.
If I would do this one.
So look, I'm sorry. I totally would, but Murph Burner is 5 days a week, and I have to stick to my programming.
You do you.
I don't have any tips on that one. Make sure your ruck is situated safely. Make sure you have it whether distributed safely, tied around your waist. So make sure your hips are limber, because once you're out on a ruck and you're in a painful situation, it's just going to get worse when you get back. So stretch your hip flexor and your quads, because they all kind of connect, and make sure your weight is distributed equally, if you don't have like a proper rucksack.
Your
Good tip.
Flexor issue makes me think of Jerred after the
I
Spartan
thought
race.
I almost said that too, but I was like, I didn't have to.
Oh
walk
man,
back.
that was
I was
that
thinking
me.
about it when you were talking about it. My hip flexors just quit working.
He had PTSD.
I'd never experienced that before. It's like, I want to go faster. I want to walk fast. You can't. They're just done. They're dead. Okay. My challenge is on the 100 burpees. I want you to time the whole workout so you'll have a benchmark time or maybe a PR time. But I want you to do 100 burpees in 10 minutes or less is my challenge.
Ooh, love it.
So do your 60 pull-ups, 70 hand release push-ups, 80 squats, 90 sit-ups. You can rest a little bit if you want, but then start a running clock of 10 minutes and see if you can do 100 burpees in 10 minutes or less. It should be doable, but we are getting into the warmer months, and you're also going to have completed a good amount of work before you got to those 100 burpees for time, basically. So that's my challenge. I have no further tips other than what everyone has said here. So take my challenge, and if you complete it, you're better for it. That's the only reward. You become a better version of yourself.
Love it. Unless you're Joe and the challenge is just do the workout.
Yeah.
He just wants to hold the record for least amount of meters of Saturdays completed.
Those sexy Saturdays, they get in the way.
Yeah.
Well, now it's Murph Saturdays.
All right.
Murph practice Saturdays.
Yeah.
Speaking of, just to roll on out of here, if you want to go check out the things that we're doing at Garage Gym Athlete, go to garagegymathlete.com. There is a big yellow bar at the top of the website. If this is the month of May when you're going there, and you will be able to click on that and be taken to the Murph project thing that we're doing, which is awesome. Chris Morgan doing a whole bunch of Murphs, 52, might even do more in the month of May, raising money. We're doing the Murph burner. There's just a lot of stuff going on. So go check it out and get involved. Whether you're part of the actual, community, as in being one of our athletes and follow the programming or not, I think you should go check it out, because it's all for a good cause, good reason. Also, Garage Gym Athlete Tours. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you should go do that, because we're going to have people's tours publishing very soon. Have they already published? We're in the future. No, not yet. Joe doesn't know, so I don't know. It's impossible. So that's it.
Technically no, because it's Monday. Comes out on Monday.
Technically no. All right, so you can check that stuff out on YouTube this week.
Hey.
There you go.
Is that there we go. All right. But that's it. And if you aren't a part of the programming, go to garagegymathlete.com and fix that problem, either by joining the Murph Burner project, getting involved in a very small way, but also giving back to the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. And for all those who are part of the community, thanks for keeping it awesome. And that's it. We'll get out of here. Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Thanks for listening.